Today we've got a very special presentation for you. It's called The Magic of the Morphogenetic Ancestor Deity, and let's jump right into it by showing you a video of the Morphogenetic Ancestor Deity, or it also goes by the acronym MAD, M-A-D. So check out this video real quick. Now, you got a good look at the deity in the video. Now I'll show it to you in a still frame as I talk about the actual vision experience that led to this deity. And very interesting thing about this MAD deity is it ties in fairly directly with a number of the other particularly interesting videos that I've had lately, including the channeled message that gives me the ancient magic from the time beyond the stars. This is a continuation of that, and I wasn't really expecting it when I had this vision, but it's turned out to be the case that a lot of my visions are the meanings of those visions, or the interpretations of those visions, are starting to come together. The channels and the deities and the visions that I'm having are all like forming an interconnected whole, and actually that's really cool. It's making this quite interesting. But so how did this vision occur? Well, for those of you new to the channel, I see these images on the back of my closed eyelids. I use a special technique where I read the patterning and light flashes on the back of my eyelids. I focus on them. I let them expand into my field of vision. And if you want to know exactly how to do this yourself, watch the introductory video. But most of you on this channel already know how to do that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So I was laying back in my bed with my eyes closed. It was a fairly dim room, and I saw this morphogenetic ancestor deity appear in deep space. Who knows where in deep space? It was just somewhere in deep space. You can see stars in the background like you can in this image, and it was a very strange looking entity, or I didn't really know what to make of it at first. It was like this field of moving colors and kind of forming like a shape like you see there, but it was a massive field, and it covered up I was a long way from it, and it was still this big. So this thing is just a massive structure, maybe the size of a galaxy. I'm not really sure. It's hard to say. Could be a lot smaller than that, but it would still be massive on human scale. But it was like this moving, wavy kind of moving, flowing matrix in space. It didn't look anything like anything else I've ever seen in space. It looked different. It looked like, in a sense, it was showing itself to me when it normally wouldn't necessarily be able to be seen unless it decided to show itself. And it was very colorful. It was very beautiful in a way, but it was just different. It was of a different material. Like sometimes I have images where I've talked about I have like an imaginal sort of fluid-like substance enter the visions, and that's like a whole separate class of vision that I can have, is when that stuff enters into my field of view. Well, this is another example of that, except it's not the imaginal like fluid type liquid type visions. This is like a field that entered into my vision, and I've never seen a field like a morphogenetic field like that before. It was like a wholly different kind of thing. So it is its own category, and I didn't really know what to make of this thing when I saw it. I just thought it was really cool and really interesting, but it looked kind of primal, like maybe it came from an earlier time than the universe. It was different than the universe in a way. It wasn't like everything around it. But we'll get back to that in a minute, because it connected with the second set of visions I had just it was either today or yesterday. It's hard for me to remember. My time kind of melds together recently, but I had a really interesting vision of my own ancestors. At least that was the impression I got, and that's the first time I've ever really had anything like that. And I was kind of asking myself the other day, where does my I'm an automatic drawer, and that's how I do my magic. And I haven't really talked about that much on the channel, and I'm really not going to, other than when it relates to the visions. But I couldn't figure out why I have this trait of being able to draw these really powerful automatic drawings. And a lot of people don't necessarily have that trait. And so what happens, I get a vision in my head of like my ancient ancestors, like pre-human ancestors. These were not Homo sapiens sapiens. They were of another species before that, and I don't know which one. And as you see here in this image, and we'll show you a brief video of this, so check this out. And as you see here in this image, these beings look a little more human than the actual beings. Well, no, actually, this image isn't too bad. They kind of look like that. But some of the other images I have look a little more human than they actually were. These individuals, when they walked, sometimes they walked upright, and sometimes they walked on all fours, like using the knuckles of their hands. So I could very easily tell these were not like Homo sapiens sapiens. When I was watching these beings, two interesting things happened. Well, they seemed to notice me, and they seemed to wonder why I was watching them, and or not wonder why. They seemed to note that I was wondering why I was watching them. And then one of them kind of took out a stick that had some pigment on it. Well, actually, that was the second thing it did. The first thing it did is it just took out a stick and it started doing automatic drawing in the snow. And then it looked up at me like, there's your answer. Like, this is where your automatic drawing comes from. It comes from your ancient ancestors who were doing this kind of magic, like drawing it in the snow, even before humans as we know it existed. And then in another vision, well, it was in the same set of visions, but it was another vision. One of these beings was had a stick kind of dipped in pigment, and it was doing automatic drawing. And then, so I'll show you some more images of these beings. It gets to this interesting part where after 3 or 4 visions, then I see one of these beings, presumably the shaman of the group, he had drawn like what looked like a representation of the morphogenetic ancestor deity, the field, he had drawn it with a stick with pigment on it on the ground, and these other ancestors of Homo sapiens sapiens were, looking at this image, and they were kind of having a spiritual religious ceremony. So here's some more pictures of it. So I thought that was really interesting. So apparently my very, very old pre-human ancestors were aware of this morphogenetic ancestor deity, and it was kind of implied that the power of the automatic drawing somehow is related to this morphogenetic ancestor deity. What I decided to do is do a quick, well, I'll show you some more images here of the morphogenetic ancestor deity. What I decided to do is do a channel, to the universal data stream, Hawaii channel, to ask about the morphogenetic, as it will be called in the channel, the morphogenetic iridescent cosmic ancestor pre-star deity. So it gets a longer name. And I found out some interesting stuff. Like it appears that this particular morphogenetic ancestor deity has come into my visions in order to teach me another section of the book of channeled magic that I'm writing. So I've got like 1 or 2 sections that I did in the last video. I've written another 10 pages of that channel, not including this. Now I did this, and now it's telling me that as soon as I want to channel it, the magic of this particular deity is going to be entered into this book too. So let's move on to the channel. And now for the actual channeling session conducted with the Universal Data Stream, or UDS, about the regarding the morphogenetic iridescent cosmic rainbow field and matrix, which is the full name I was given of the entity / being that Primal one in my visions. So the question I asked was a simple one. It was just one question. I mean, these channels can get a lot longer, and I'm sure they will, because they're starting to come in force, and they're trying to give me another book to write now too. So, well, and these can be written, and they can be written fairly quickly, and I'll probably write them because that's the kind of mood I'm in. But so here's the channel. What I asked the Universal Data Stream is, what is the name and nature of the morphogenetic iridescent cosmic rainbow field I saw in my vision? And the only thing I really didn't get out of this channel was the actual name of the entity that I saw. I mean, I did get an extended label to apply to the entity, which again was Morphogenetic, Iridescent, Cosmo, Rainbow Field, and Matrix, but that isn't really a name. So I may have to ask that again. But so the channel commences. Universal data stream connecting. Titanic protogenetic form still retaining traces of the universe before this manifestation. The ancestors of the giants, the titans perhaps, they roam the cosmos, mostly unseen by all but the shamans. Now, it's real interesting. First couple of sentences, we're talking about beings still retaining traces of the universe before this manifestation. So, a universe before the manifestation of this universe. Is it saying there was a previous universe there? It seems to suggest that. And again, that's something I could channel and ask about, and I may do. And again, this entity is being compared to the mythological giants or titans, but at the same time, could be referring to the giants that I've seen in my visions, these epic, gargantuan, just huge beings that are sometimes the size of galaxies that I see in my visions. And again, these are not necessarily seeable by people who don't have like shamanic genes or something. Within the visions of these ancestral deific entities of a time beyond the current comprehension of humanity, there is held some portion of the unseen and unknown knowledge of the earliest primal days of the universe. And that's a pretty interesting paragraph too, because it shows something that sometimes shows up in my channels. Is I'll channel something one way, and then when I re-examine what I actually channeled, I'll realize something else is being said at the same time. And a lot of times real spiritual parts of channels will contain multiple meanings for the same section. So one way to read this particular sentence is, or section, within the visions of these ancestral deific entities of comprehension beyond, within the visions of these ancestral deific entities of a time beyond the current comprehension of humanity. So that means beyond the current ability for humans to understand. But if you place those brackets where I place them, it means something entirely different at the same time. It means within the visions of these ancestral deific entities of a time beyond the current. See how that means something totally different? So it's saying that these ancestral deific entities come from a time beyond the current. But if you read it another way, when I don't put the brackets in, it means of a time beyond the current comprehension of humanity to understand. That sort of stuff will show up a lot in real channels, particularly if you write it down and then look at it after the fact. And even perhaps myths of the birth of time passed down from that nascent era, of the emergence of the impossible, of the birth of everything from nothing, of the manifestation of the impossible dream in a time when dreams were not even possible. So there's some inspiring text. Do you await the lessons and teachings, the magic from the earliest of days, the proto-magic of the ancient of ancients? Is this a magic you seek? Without time, the teachings could not exist, nor could they have been recorded in a form humans can comprehend. The knowledge remains and reemerges just and solely in time, for time is the messenger of the message, the loyal and unshakable holder of the great secrets of its own emergence and the emergence of space. And one unique aspect of this particular channel that I don't get a lot in my other channels, nor have I ever really, is the channel asking me questions like, do you really want these lessons, the magic from the earliest of the days? Is this the magic you seek? Like, I'm getting asked questions, so it's already a different channel. Echoes of the birth and conclusion of time. So let's move on to the next final page of this fairly short channel, but I've already got a bunch of other channel material written that's related to the last video and to this video, and then this channel is probably going to get expanded too, and this all may be out by tomorrow night, so could easily be another 20 pages of channeling, so be ready for a bigger channel. The end of days and nights, the revelation, the apocalypse, hints of the trumpets heard on the horizon. Are you ready for the Oh, well, see, that's what the channel does. It changes the words, so maybe it should be, are you ready for the emergence of the most ancient ones? And apparently the channel wants me to also put in parentheses so it means emergence and re-emergence of the most ancient ones. And who are the most ancient ones? I don't know, but that sounds kind of like the beings beyond, before the stars, or beyond the stars. Perhaps you shall be offered instruction and inspiration for the summoning. Is this what you seek? Still now you have a choice. You have not been forced to channel the magic. You have not been forced to channel the magic. But here you write the words signifying your desire for the sacred tome of the beginning of time. Uh-oh. Just been introduced to another book they want to channel me, called The Sacred Tome of the Beginning of Time. Is this yet another text to be channeled in its entirety? This appears to be the situation as it has manifested. Okay, and interestingly enough, sometimes even when I be given names of things, I'll be given multiple names for the same thing. So a lot of things, including this particular text that they want me to channel, has got another name. To summon the field, and we're talking about the morphogenetic field from the earlier part of the video. Draw the rainbow morphogenetic iridescent cosmic field matrix. Draw the sacred symbol of the being. Then channel the rainbow morphogenetic iridescent cosmic field matrix. And here I'll show you real quick what that looks like, because I drew it and then I channeled this. Ask the being its name. The blessed shall receive the teaching of the magic of the earliest days, and perhaps shall be blessed with the sacred tome of the emergence of time. So instead of the sacred tome of the beginning of time, now we're talking about the sacred tome of the emergence of time. Now, is this two separate books, or is it two separate names for the same book? Actually, now that I look at it, it could be two separate books. Maybe they're offering me two books. These texts shall soon become more ornate and sacred and powerful should you choose to become the scribe of the source of the knowledge you seek. For you possess the necessary talents to channel the knowledge in an acceptable fashion, and perhaps you shall succeed at a level far beyond the acceptable. You have within you the genetics for the channel and the genetics of the priestly shamanic scribe. You have demonstrated your ability in the past. Think, that's what it says, the success of this magic was accidental. Think the success of this magic, the writings I've done in the past, was accidental. No, you don't think that, but we are here to reassure you that your thinking in this matter was correct. Forces were at work and remain at work, the same forces that energized and helped to manifest the writings of the past. I could talk about that, but that's a little personal. It's about my writings in the past and how I felt. There was definitely some real and potent magic behind certain of the books that I've written, and I kind of watched that manifest. It was really odd. Why you were born with these traits? Why do you believe the traits passed to you from your ancient ancestors? Do you not understand the purpose now? At this time of channeling the magic from beyond time, who are your earliest ancestors? That's the end of this brief channel, and that last sentence is pretty interesting and a little difficult to decipher. Do you not understand the purpose now at this time of channeling the magic from beyond time? Who are your earliest ancestors? So am I channeling my own earliest ancestors, or is the point of my lineage of ancestors to bring forth this sort of information? Is that why our line was kept alive throughout history? That's assuming the spirits have that kind of power over human choice to keep a line alive, and I really don't know if they do. Certainly miraculous occurrences can occur in key and dangerous situations to save people at times, but I don't really know. But that's all I have for this particular video. But as you can see, these channels are really starting to ramp up, and I've got a lot more channel material that's already pretty much ready, and I may even have another longer channel video out by tomorrow night. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. We'll see you within the next couple of days. Thank you.